Assalamualaikum dan salam sejahtera. Anda sedang menonton agenda Awani dan saya berjanji semalam di episod yang lalu untuk menyambung perbincangan yang saya rasa begitu penting untuk semua manusiawi dan izinkan saya berbicara bahasa Inggeris. I'd like now to continue. Welcome to the second part of the discussion with two very, very important people. Dr. Ang Swee wrote this from Beirut to Jerusalem. And we've been talking, not directly about Sabra and Shatila massacre. She has a very, very close account of the happenings there. And from there, she moved on to a lot of other incidences. And then I also have still with me Hans Husum, the author of the new war mission, Stealth. War is happening even when we don't realize it. More and more new sophisticated weapons are being used. You can just be in Houston, but you can kill a whole family in the Middle East in 1 second, just like that. And in one of the chapter, a father lost 12 sons, just like that, in 1 minute. And he tried to save one of them. The leg was bleeding, but he died in the car. Stark realities. But in order for us to know what we're fighting against, we've got to really be aware. And Hans, you make the distinction between where it used to be the war of attrition during the Napoleon days or even Caesar's days, and all the way here now is the hyper war. Can you enlighten us why you call it the hyper war and why is stealth the new weapon?
When people in power can sit anywhere on the globe and take out a target, identify it, analyze it, and then kill it in close to real time, anywhere on the globe, and not one target, hit simultaneously a lot of targets without being seen. This is hyper war. Then there are no corners where you can hide. There are no safe places anymore. They are looking into your computer. They are looking into your house. And they are breaking any taboo. Look at the massacres. In Sabra Shatila, now in Syria, in the Middle East, in Africa. So this is a hyper war. This is a new type of warfare. This is not about conquering territory, controlling territory. This is about breaking down man. And we should understand that it's more than bullets and weapons and drones. Now, look at neighboring country, Vietnam. The third generation is now being born with the malformations of dioxin produced by Monsanto. Okay, now the presidential candidate in US, Mrs. Clinton, she was a lawyer for Monsanto. She belongs to the Monsanto lobby. Monsanto is still in. Look at James Steele, the American that on the order of Rumsfeld made up the torture centers and the Black Bolt Brigade in 2003, 4, 5, 6 in Iraq. He was working with Enron. He took part in Enron's, Monsanto's offensive to control the cotton production in India. What's the result? 250,000 Indian farmers have committed suicide. So this war is very complex. It's like a web of destructive energy under the table. Can't see. So then how can we put faces on the crimes if we cannot see no faces?
And it's so easy for people to criticize and say, this is another theory of conspiracy. How do you react to that?
Ask the babies in their families in Vietnam. Ask the farmers in India. Ask the peasants in tribal territory in Pakistan, living under drones. Ask people of Yemen. Conspiracy?
Dr. Ang Swee, no matter how invisible the hands are, the impact the inhuman impact can be seen, as Hans has just said. And you've been trying to save them for decades.
I just want to tell you something, okay? There are so many things we can do and must do, okay? Well, operating on people and so on is only one thing. But teaching other people to be able to cope, building up an army of humanitarian doctors and so on to reach those that are injured, raising money and awareness to rehabilitate those homes who are destroyed, publicizing what's done to them is part of our strategy, and we must engage with it. We need a lot of people. Now, I know what's happening is very depressing. I also want to tell you, take the example of the dioxin, okay? Now, that's very depressing, malformation. When it happened to Vietnam, nobody knows. Many years later, we got deformed babies. When it happened to Iraq, some of my colleagues already tried to expose it, carry out analysis to show it. When it happened in Gaza, they're already doing work, and now they're doing work. The thing is, we must let the whole world know that we have to support the work. We have to keep up hope. It's our duty. And also, it is something we must do. It is part of human responsibility. If we allow evil to destroy us, then our soul is gone. We have to overcome evil with good. That's not a choice.
The greatest weapon to combat this new war machine must be awareness. And for that, everybody needs to play a role. But how do you, the both of you, from your standpoint, because there's so much that you have seen and witnessed, and there's so many connections that might not be available to the layman anywhere in the relatively safe cities so far removed from the conflict zones. How do we make the advance and technology advancement of the 20th century also work for peace? The social media contacts, the ability to send messages simultaneously around the world. How do we do that? Maybe you can help share with us stories of how you and your group has tried to do this, and maybe civil society around the world can at least meet you halfway on this, even here in Malaysia. We'll discuss that after the short break.
Isu yang sedang viral ketika ini iaitu mengenai kem jati diri yang melibatkan penggunaan ular.
Program yang melibatkan jati diri pelajar boleh diteruskan.
Beberapa syarikat penerbangan lain di Australia melarang Samsung Galaxy Note 7 dibawa masuk ke pesawat.
Pemimpin gerakan baju merah ditahan oleh pasukan anggota polis.
Fenomena air pasang besar dengan kenaikan balas air mampu mencecah 5.6 hingga 5.7 meter.
Masalah ini tidak boleh keluar dari rumah ini.
Platform Sinema Seram Asia. Tayangan perdana setiap Jumaat 10.30 malam. Langgani melalui saluran 200.
Welcome to a brand new season of Gadget Nation with me, Julie Woon, where we bring you the latest updates on gadgets, apps, games, and all things tech. I do love this rose gold color, having one of the fastest fingerprint scanner around.
Kita kembali di dalam segmen Aman's Garage menjadi peranti idaman ramai. Mengapakah mereka katakan ini sebuah peranti flagship killer?
First ever time on Gadget Nation, where we're going to be talking about esports news and gaming news in general.
Thanks to Perdana Global Peace Foundation, it's almost a book review with Hans Husum and the new war machine, which is Stealth, and From Beirut to Jerusalem with Dr. Ang Swee. But this is more than that. This is a fight for humanity. And there were many depressing things that we've discussed over 2 episodes, and we're nearly halfway through the second one. But in the end, if we were to be triumphant over war, it must have been because people around the world are united against war, criminalizing war, making war forever banished from humankind. But the first step, the first few steps, must start with awareness, as we have discussed. But how would normal laymen around the world meet this, at least halfway? And from your point of view?
Well, I will tell you how I started. When I came out of Sabra and Shatila, I asked the Palestinians who have lost families, who are burying their dead. I said, how can I help you? He said, look, Swee, help us by speaking about us. Talk, be our voice. We cannot reach the BBC in London. We cannot reach all these places. Just speak up for us. That's a one-to-one campaign because nobody in the West wants to hear about Palestinians. Well, personally, I've done about 2,000 talks. Even to maybe 5 people, 10 people. We've campaigned, we've built up organizations, we've support organizations. And I can tell you how we advance. Not me, but generally. Yeah. During my time, it's one-to-one, carrying a slide projector machine from university to university, talking to unions and so on. Now, it's on the internet. Now, I don't even have to talk because it's all on social media. The Palestinians can talk. You know, you can try and cover what's happening in Gaza. Before you can cover it, it's all out, it's live. You know, we had about 1 million people demonstrating against the invasion of Gaza on 2014. 1 million people in London itself, you see, and against the invasion of Iraq all over the world. So we have to build on that kind of momentum. We have to educate people, but not just campaigning and speaking. You must create the channels for people to help. If a child comes out to me and say, this is my pocket money, it's £1, please give it to the Palestinian children. You know what it makes what that do to the Palestinians when they hear that? You know, it will immediately uplift their morale. It's just like giving light in the darkness. It's just like returning the soul to people who have been robbed of their humanity. So we have to do that. Technology, they have technology, we have technology. I've met enough experts, if we put our hearts together, that can do a lot of things. So we have to do it. It's small, but it will build up momentum and it'll be strong. Not everybody is evil. Evil is there. But if we fight evil, we become strong.
Hans, we are struggling about STEM education in this country. Science, technology, engineering, mathematics. But I guess, going through your book, you have to use science, technology, engineering, mathematics also to deconstruct the horrors of war so that you understand what happened behind. When I read your the page about blast physics, for example, I mean, physics was not really my strong point in school, but it has enough to give me an understanding. And then when we say it's hyper war, when we say it's an urban war, it's all about hitting the urban population, which are mainly non-combatants. And these are specific weapons of war done specifically, not just for the combatants, but to really destroy even the resistance of normal people. So if you can go towards that, how weapons of before are just there to blast and then that's it. Now even with the wave of energy that comes from the blast, you will put heavy metals and whatever else to maximize. And you see this because you were treating it from the other end, the impact of this weapon that some don't even know that there's this new kind of weapon. So if you can share that with us from the force of the blast, and also I think DIME, as you put it, DIME.
Yeah, I'm saying that stealthy global war is going on. and it's growing in intensity, and it's very dangerous. You don't need to believe me, but you should have the courage of finding out if I'm right or not. Now, we have the internet, we have the WikiLeaks, we have the Snowden. We have a lot of publications. Never has access to truth been easier. So, it's up to us. You can check me out. There are no references in this book. You can check me out. Crack the footnotes. So, there is a mosaic hidden under the public transcript. Now look at the Middle East. Look at the Daesh. Islamic warfare. It's a very professional mercenary army controlled by external powers. Somebody made it. Somebody feeds it. Somebody needs it. Easy to deconstruct the phenomenon Daesh. If you have the courage, but you have to have the courage to look after. I don't tell people you have to have the courage to stand up and be counted, but to look after, to start to ask the questions that normal media doesn't pose. So, that's my point.
Okay. Let's go for the last break. I have a few minutes left in the last segment. Where do we go from here? We've tried the Global Peace Foundation, have constructed a tribunal, for example, and where would people who want to find alternative to war congregate and go for? Let's talk to Hans and Dr. Swee right after this short break.
Fitnah mampu merosakkan ketamadunan, mampu merosakkan keselamatan sosial.
Media sosial ini sebenarnya menjadi suatu tumpuan sebahagian besar rakyat Malaysia.
Realistik, dan beliau recognize bahawa isu ini memang berlaku dan sedang menghimpit rakyat di bawah sana.
Kalau kita boleh tackle event ni, maka kita dapat membantu banyaklah dalam isu agihan pendapatan dan lain-lain.
Rakyat tidak mahu dengar lagi ada ketirisan dan juga tidak sampai kepada yang sepatutnya.
Rajin duk kata ke orang.
Adakah itu yang dinamakan jihad? Nikmat boleh berubah menjadi bencana. Insan yang benar-benar berakal.
Jelas dan isi pun bagus.
Kalau pecah bunuh gana segalanya. Kita telefon mak ayah kita.
Tekisan.
Kita berdepan dengan tak ayah yang bermuka hanya dia Allah.
Okey.
Mimbar pencetus ummah di Astro Oasis dan Astro Maya HD.
Kak Munah boleh bercuti balik ke kampung. Bawa Joe ni sekali.
Johan apa? Hei, takkan tak ingat Johan. Saya nak panggil awak apa? Jongang, Jo Jambon. Awak jalan kaki ke dia tadi?
Saya nak beli dedak untuk bawa agak saya. Agak seminggu.
Mahal. Awak marah kat saya ke?
Tak.
Esok-esok saya boleh kena dengan awak lagi.
Awak sangat nakal. Isnin hingga Kamis, 10 malam.
Thanks to Perdana Global Peace Foundation, I'm still here with Dr. Swee and Hans Husum, surgeons by training, but they've gone beyond that now. And one of their greatest pursuit now is to see the end of war. War must be criminalized, those behind it must be named, and they must stand up for justice to be done. So, how do we go from here, where we are, to that?
We know that crimes have been committed. Crimes did not just happen. Crimes have been committed. We know who the criminals are. If we don't, we find out who they are. We can research it. We put their face up. We name them. Okay? Tony Blair. Okay? Now, everybody knows he's a war criminal. Before all that, he's the most respected respectable politician we ever had in Britain. He's a criminal. Okay, we name them. All these people who make all this war, we name them. Even if we've got no facilities to bring them to court, because ICC doesn't want to know, they don't want to, dare not persecute and so on, doesn't matter. We are the people. We cry for justice. We cannot let these people just destroy whatever they cannot control and enslave what they can. This is what modern warfare. I can't enslave this lot, so let's destroy everything. We cannot. We hold them accountable. It is true, in the past, we can talk about God's justice, but that's a human responsibility. I was so desperate about the Sabra Shatila massacre that I wrote to the Pope, because a section of those people who did the massacre were Christians.
The so-called militia.
Yeah, they are Roman Catholics. I wrote to the Pope. I said, look, Christian accountability must be laid down. We did. It's a small thing. It's in this book now.
Yes.
It's all over the Middle East, translated to Arabic. So much so that after the Pope left Beirut, his ambassador got to phone me and say, can I come and visit you? I'm not interested in a private visit. I'm interested in people understanding. Not deliberately. The Pope has got nothing to do with the massacre. But I want my Christian brothers and sisters to understand what they've done to other people and not hide behind some cloud of invisibility. We have to believe in our power. We might not have a lot of power. We don't have bombs. We don't have guns. We don't have money. But we have got justice. We have got courage, you know. And a good thing, you are very young, okay? I tell you something, as you grow older, it's better. Why? You lose less. When I'm young, they can put pressure on me, my career, I don't get that job, I don't get this, I don't get that. Now, I'm so old, they cannot pressurize me anymore. What do they want me to do? Retire? But I still do the same thing, you see? So lives get better, lives get stronger. And our young people look to us to see what they want to be. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Come with us, and you will never regret it. And all of us will die. Let's die honorably.
Hans?
Nothing more to say. Put faces on the crime.
Yeah.
But the other side, they are not saying or staying silent too. And they have powerful forces that they can galvanize to change the narrative,
yes,
to even disrupt the narrative.
Sure. But if you lose the dream of peace, if you lose your dream, then you're defeated. That's for sure.
I googled your book, Stealth, the New War Machine. And it's your previous book that appears
War
in the
surgery.
first 2 pages. It's almost non-existent there. That's so strange, having so many new things in here. So we can't rely on the mainstream for this. We must use our own network and build on it. But before we end, just to give an idea to the audience here in Malaysia, and Penang is your roots after all, we abhor violence on this side of the world.
Yes.
Sometimes, even though we need to go through it to see justice and to help others, it will create sort of a barrier for us to get through. How do you get through all this? You know, from the first moment of you trying to be a surgeon, and they were looking at this non-white petite lady trying to be a surgeon, you've been braving the odds. And how do you survive seeing massacres right in front of you, the stench of death, and being pointed at with machine guns?
These are nothing compared to the actual victims. The very fact that I'm here because they think they don't want to waste a bullet on me, okay? But maybe now they're regretting it. Many people don't want to know. I want to tell you something, okay? Now, my family are Chinese. Don't get involved in all these wars in the Middle East. Well, now they can read Chinese. Beirut to Jerusalem is in Chinese. So the Chinese community here and all over the world will have to read about what happened to the Palestinians to start with. That's only what to start with. And then from there, they acquire the skills to understand and analyze the rest of the world.
Hans, I mean, in this book, you write about what certain companies in Norway contribute to the new kind of weapons. But Norway also gave us great humanitarian ambassadors and role models to look up to. So how do we influence a whole community?
I hate double standards. I cannot take a liar. They are liars. So we have to speak out.
Keep on speaking up.
We have to speak out.
I thank you so much, the both of you, for making time to share all this. We hope we will at least create a ripple of awareness that will reverberate around. Thanks to Hans Husum again. Thanks to Dr. Ang Swee Chai. You have to promise me and you have to come back to talk about your late husband and the life of being in exile and standing up for what you believe in. And these are real life examples from Southeast Asia. Sometimes we have to look to other parts of the world for inspiration. So I want you to promise me that as a favor to me. Thank you so much.
I will.
Thanks to you for watching. Send in your own views. Hantarkan pandangan anda sendiri kepada pelbagai platform yang Astro Awani ada. Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Buat turun aplikasi mudah alih iOS dan Android. Dan insyaAllah kita akan jumpa lagi. Dan doa kita untuk keamanan sejagat dan hentikan keganasan perang. Thank you so much.